professors here will tell you that there is no success without successor. So, you take the caller to the incoming governor of Enugu State, Honorable Barrister Ikamba. Now, we have to give to the deputy governors here present, starting from Imo State, Professor, and now to Ebonyi State, the deputy governor. The collar will now be broken, the one I have in my hand. And those who have not received the collar will receive from my hand after.
Awesome. Please, a round of applause. The journey of the collar. Please celebrate culture. Celebrate culture in Nigeria. Ndi Igbo. Celebrate culture. Thank you. Thank you. While the collar was going round, a great son of Igbo land walked in. The Okute of Igbo land walked in while the collar was going round. Ladies and gentlemen, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the just concluded presidential election, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, is in our midst. Okute! Okute ndi Igbo! While this is going on, we want to celebrate every Nigerian here present. We celebrate every Nigerian here present. We welcome you, sir. We welcome you, sir. A great Nigerian, a great son of the soil. Honor to whom it is due. Okute, we celebrate you. The Igbo nation celebrates you. The Nigerian people celebrate you. And by what you have done, we from this part of Nigeria, we salute every Nigerian who went out there to express themselves on the 25th of February. We got to know that however anybody wants to look at it, Ndi Igbo have come of age. And we did show that we have come of age. And other Nigerians did show also that Ndi Igbo are part of this great nation, loved, appreciated, and valued.
And with that, join me as I welcome the multiple Chief Mike Ozekhome, SAN. Yes, the one that we've been waiting for his keynote speak, Mike Ozekhome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Professor Otese, former two-time Vice Chancellor of 2 universities in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Amiable, ever-smiling Governor Ifeanyi Ugwanyi of Enugu State, who has done much for this state, turning it around from a rural settlement to a mega place. And your incoming governor, where you are generously endowed in stature and structure. He is not so generously endowed, but he's learned. Because you are read, you are not learned. Peter Mba, we salute you. My brother and friend, Senator Shehu Sani, with whom we were in the trenches together, being detained many times. In fact, he served part of his jail term in Enugu here. And Umaru Yaradua later died, but he was lucky to escape with people like us. But some other people escaped abroad and came to reap the benefits and the spoils of war that some of us labored for, while some of them were hiding behind the backs of their wives. History and posterity will judge. I want to thank my brother and welcome him, my brother and friend, good friend for years, Okute Peter the Rock. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 16 verse 18, even though you had denied Jesus Christ 3 times before the cock crowed, Jesus Christ later decided to use you as the structure of his church. Matthew 16:18, thou art Peter, and you are the rock. And upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against you. I will give you the key to the kingdom of God, so that whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. You are welcome. And thank you for turning being a structureless man to being a fully structured man. I welcome all of you, Iyom, Josephine Aneni, all our traditional rulers, royal fathers. I salute you all. Not to forget those in government and the 4th estate of the realm. I am to speak today on a very topical issue. Building bridges for a new Nigeria. The topic suggests, or rather admits of 2 things: that Nigeria has failed or is a failing nation, and that the present contraption we have is old, decrepit, and not working. So we want to make it new. That is the meaning. And Ozekhome has become a great national platform to achieving this. I want to salute this organization. I'm particularly enthused with your goals. Management, creating effective management for Igbo professionals both at home and abroad, and promoting cooperation, peace, and good neighborliness between Igbos and other ethnic groups in Nigeria. through your handshake programs, handshake across the Niger, handshake across Nigeria, you have done a lot to bring about this your dream. The Igbo man is a special man. He is gregarious. He is effective. He is innovative. He is daring. In fact, it is said if you go to any community, anywhere, not just in Nigeria, but across the world, and you do not see an Igbo man, you should begin to run away. That place is not inhabitable. His sense of him not deterred him from having a common goal. In 1990, I went on a round country trip sponsored by the United States Information Service, USIS. People like Senator Khairat, Abdulrazak Gwadabe, who were on the trip together. Then they took us to Yakima, the very place Native Americans. So when we went there, they told me that there can't be an Igbo man here. I told them there must be an Igbo man here, because those are the real Native Americans. It's like a village, a settlement. So they use it as a kind of historical, totem for visitors. New York State. Then we went to one restaurant. I told them, we must see an Igbo man here before we leave this place tomorrow. On the table were three men. They were black. And I told them, watch those men. They said, oh yes, they are black Americans. I said, I don't think so. You watch them. I believe they are Nigerians. Not only Nigerians, I believe they are Igbos. We were still arguing when one of them stood up and said, ebe kineje. So I said, you see what I'm talking about? So the Igbo man believes more in the indissolubility and indivisibility of this country than any other Nigerian. That is why he finds home everywhere he goes to. Go to the Sabon Gari areas of the entire northern part of Nigeria. I have a friend who speaks Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, Efik, Ibibio, Urobo, English, about 6 to 7 languages. Because that is a melting point for them all. So I see this topic, therefore, as a bridge which is a source, or which is the process of creating, building, which is the process of creating or developing something. The bridge is something that makes it to connect to others, and bridge building, which are activities intended to make relations between two groups or more groups friendlier. This country, we must be careful in talking about its indissolubility and indivisibility. Its coming together itself was almost like an historical mistake. It was on the 8th of January 1897 when one young lady called Miss Flora Louisa Shaw gave the name Nigeria to her. A British journalist, Niger area, the area around that River Niger. Don't forget that Western powers tried to write history for us by telling us that Mungo Park discovered the River Niger at New Busa, Kainji. Whereas when he came there, he met the natives drinking the water and taking their bath there. Yet he discovered it. That young lady wrote that article on the 8th of January 1897. And she was later to marry the man called Lord Lugard, Lord Frederick Lugard, the man who amalgamated Lagos colony, the southern and northern protectorates, to found what you call Nigeria today on the 1st of January 1914. Since then, Nigeria has been yearning for nationhood. How many of us know that Nigeria was first owned and ruled by a company called Royal Niger Company between 1886 and 1890? And that this company now sold Nigeria to the British government for £865,000. That's about 735 naira was what our country was sold by the Royal Niger Company to the British government. Before then, Mr. Chairman, sir, I didn't forget Professor Nebo, the incoming president, very cerebral professor we have. Before then, we had city-states, people who were already independent. We had the Oyo Empire, the Karne Bonu Empire, we had the Ife civilization, we had the Benin Empire. Remember the role of the great Oba Ovorami Nogbaise, who beat the British with bare knuckles in 1897, which led to the British Benin punitive expedition. We had great figures: Nana of Ichekiri, King Jaja of Opobo, Moremi, the Hausa city-states, the Igbo city-states, before Lord Lugard amalgamated us. But without looking into our peculiar nuances. So when Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe in 1952 told Tafawa Ahmadu Bello, the Sadowna of Sokoto, in trying to see how we can cement Nigeria together, I will have written a book about Nigeria not being one because we don't have a single country like you have the British and the Welsh and the Irish in this path to Nigeria freedom. Zik told Ahmadu Bello, let us forget our differences. Ahmadu Bello gave a very poignant and true answer. He said, no, Zik, we cannot forget our differences. You are Igbo, you are a Christian, and you are an Easterner. I am Fulani, I am a Muslim, and I'm a Northerner. We should recognize our differences and then see how we can understand ourselves. That was a beautiful reply. But all of them were worried about the fact that Nigeria was not one country, which I still dare say till today remains the situation. When the first military coup took place in this country, I'm sorry, before I give solutions, I normally like to give background, because it is the problem we have, and Peter the Rock will agree with me. Most of the problems we have is that they had even removed history from our syllabus. So we do not know where we are coming from. The Oyibo man made the car, the vehicle, to have a large windscreen in front so that you can see into the future. But he also makes a very little mirror by the side of the window so that you can peer into the past behind to know what is going on. If you don't have a past, you can't have a present. If you don't have a present, you can never dream of a future. So that is why when I speak, many a time, I peer a little into the past so as to see how and why we miss it. On the 15th of January, 1966, a military coup was played out in Nigeria, and it was led by Major Kaduna Chukwuma Nzogu. Many historical revisionists have since turned around this story, and I've always asked the question, what has the Igbo man done to deserve being profiled and being typified and being regarded as a dot in the cycle? The Igbo man is not a dot in the cycle. Indeed, he is the link that binds the other 373 ethnic groups in Nigeria, going by the 374 given by Professor Onigu Otite. He is the link. He's the erudite, he's the gum. So he's not a dot in a cycle. He's actually the binding force in this country. Because historical revisionists have tried to always call that coup an Igbo coup. It is a lie from the pit of hell. And as a student of history, I dare not say I'm an historian, though I've written up to 5 books on history, because there are historical professors of history. The truth is that of the people who played out the military coup, the Igbos were not the only one. Led by Major Kaduna Nzogu Chukwuma from Okpanam near Asaba in Delta State. The people mistake the fact that the following were also leaders of the coup to say it was an Igbo coup. Who were the others? The others were Major Emmanuel Ifejuna, Major Chris Anuforo, Major Timothy Onwatwegu, Major Humphrey Chukwuka, Major Don Okafo, Captain Ben Bullier, Captain Emmanuel Mobusi, and Captain Ogbu Oji. Because of that, they always say it was the Igbos that led that coup. No, I want to fault this historical profanity. The following were the people who led the coup, apart from the 7 I've just mentioned. Major Adewale Ademoyegun, Yoruba. He wrote the book. He wrote the book, Why We Struck. I've read that book. Captain G. Adeleke, Yoruba. He is the author of the book, The Reluctant Rebel. Lieutenant Aru Egbiko, he was of Isan origin. That's the present day Edo State. There was Lieutenant Tijani Kassina, Hausa Fulani. There was Lieutenant O Olafemion, Yoruba. Captain Gipsy Jallo from Bali in the present Taraba State. Captain Swanton Robert from the Middle Belt. Lieutenant Hope Harris Egaga, Urobo extraction. Lieutenant Dag Waribori, Ijo, Delta State. Second Lieutenant Saleh Dambo, Hausa, and Second Lieutenant John Atom Kwera, who was later a military administrator in this country, is of TV extraction, Benue State. So I ask, what has the Igbo man done to say he was the only one, they were the only one who played it? So from today onwards, tell them that is an historical piece of narrative. It is not true. When, after the counter coup and Agui Ronsi, the only Igbo man who had been president of this country, military head of state, between January 1966 and July 1966, that's the only one. The nearest was Dr. Alex Ekweme, who was vice president to Alhaji Aliyu Shehu Usman Shagari. Go on, there was this program what some people have called, some historians have labeled a genocidal attack on the Igbos. And the Igbos cried to Jukunye Megbe, give us guns. Let us fight and defend ourselves. We could have had probably a country without a war if wise counsel had prevailed. But Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, the handsome, suave man who was a bachelor before he took over the headship of this country and only married Victoria after he became head of state, they disagreed and said they were going to carry out a police action from the Nsukka axis. That was a piece of historical mistake. That mistake was to turn into a 3-year bloody civil war that took the lives, some people say, of over 3 million Biafrans. And that was after the failure of the Aburi Accord, when General Ankara had hosted Gowon and Ojukwu in Ghana to find a way as to how to avoid war. By January 15, 1970, the Biafrans decided to surrender to the Nigerian side through General Philip Effiong, who surrendered to General Olusegun Obasanjo, the man who had taken over control of the 3rd Marine Commando from Adekunle, Benjamin Adekunle. Then the 3 R's were promulgated. 3 R's: reconstruction, rehabilitation, and reconciliation. I've always asked the question, because driving here, if you drive to Enugu State from Onitsha, passing through Oba, Orefite, Okija, Ihiala, Uli, Mgbidi, Awomama, Owerri, you will see more roadblocks that you can find in the northern part of Nigeria, where Boko Haram and armed banditry reign supreme. So I find these people more in a state of mental and physical siege. So again, I ask the question, what has the Igbo man done? Have they reconciled? One of the 3 R's? Have they been rehabilitated? One of the 3 R's? Have they been reconstructed? One of the 3 R's? I do not know. I do not know whether you know. I have decided to say that whenever we talk about the indivisibility of Nigeria, we must be careful not to overstretch it. and overstretch it. The former USSR once thought so. Today, they have broken up into 15 independent states. Some of them are Ukraine, currently at war with Russia, Russia itself, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, the one we call the three Baltic states, Estonia, Armenia, Kingston, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. They broke up. Yugoslavia was once one. It broke up into 6 states. India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh used to be one country. Today they are separate. Ask Sudan, which some few years ago broke into Southern Sudan and Sudan. At this moment, as we are talking, we are battling to bring back our people trapped in that Sudan, in a fratricidal war between the same people of the same country. And our own man, the owner of Air Peace, has decided to use his aircraft, and is doing that precisely, Onyema, to airlift Nigerians trapped in that country. Alan Onyema, God bless you. I didn't hear people say, we will not go with Air Peace. The owner is an Igbo man. Chimanda Ngozi Adichie, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the first female and black Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO, and former Managing Director, World Bank Operations. They are doing Nigerians proud and Nigeria proud. I haven't heard anybody say, we don't want to take the glory because they are Igbos. JJ Okocha, Dan Amokachi, Kanu Nwankwo, Mikel Obi Uche Okechukwu Vincent Enyema, Christian Chukwu Emmanuel Okala, Onyekachi Apam, Francis Uzoho, and Harry Mosu, and many others. They burnt the local and international fields, doing Nigeria and Nigerians proud. I didn't hear anybody say, we didn't want the glory because they are Igbos. Chioma Ajua, in 1996, took the Olympic gold medal at the Atlanta Olympics. Emmanuel Ifeajuna, the man who was also involved in the 1966 military purge, was the first black African to win a gold medal in an international competition, the 1954 Vancouver Olympics. Michael Okpala, alias Power Mike. Richard Ihetu, alias Dick Tiger, former world boxing weight champion. Olaudo Equiano, the man who wrote many treatises that led to the abolition of the 500-year-old slave trade. Chinua Achebe, the man whose novel Things Fall Apart has been transcribed into more than 500 languages, and is novel rated as one of the 12 novels considered to be the greatest book ever written by Encyclopedia Britannica. They were all of Igbo extraction. I didn't hear anyone say we should not bask in the glory because they are Igbos. Philip Emeagwole is from Onitsha, computer scientist whose seminar was brought about internet revolution and described by CNN as the father of internet. Professor Bath Naji, who pioneered robotic engineering. Professor Chike Obi, world-acclaimed mathematician. Professor Gabriel Oyibo, the man who blazed aircraft design and aerodynamics and aeroelasticity. Professor Benoit Boueze, the first African to have LLD, Doctor of Laws, by thesis. Professor Ben Enwenu, the great sculptor. Chief Sir Louis Odumegu Ojukwu, the father of Ikemba, reputed to be the first Nigerian and West African billionaire. They were Igbos. I didn't hear anyone speak about Igbophobia or Igboism. Do you know that the present president of Liberia, Edward James Roye, is said to be an Igbo man? Do you know that the present president of Gabon, Ali Bongo Ondiba, is said to be of Igbo descent, and that he was taken away during the Civil War? So, why then the typification and profiling of the Igbos? I was at the Supreme Court yesterday to defend an Igbo son. Nnamdi Kanu, yes, he founded IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, in 2012. His goals, if you read the Constitution, are clear: to give respect to the Igbos, to put them in a respectable position. Then if you don't want to respect us or give us then let us separate peacefully. That's all. IPOB, we saw them, beret wearing, whistle blowing, marching on the streets. They were not violent. I saw them. I followed their tracks. Then it took Operation Python by the Nigerian Army between 14th and 17th of September 2017 to descend on his home, ancestral home at Afara Ibeku, Umuahia, Abia State. They almost killed him. He escaped by the teeth. He was then enjoying bail, but unprovoked, he was to be killed. He escaped. His first port of call was Israel, and he quickly reported and swore to an affidavit before he went to London. The federal government said he jumped bail. No sirs, no ma'am. Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail. He escaped to save his life. He would have been killed. So the self-determination bid by IPOB, for your information, for those who had always harbored the thought that it is an illegality or an unconstitutionality, it is not true. Self-determination is recognized by Article 20 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. Articles 10, 11, and 12. And 20 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Articles 1 and 22 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, 1976. Articles 3 and 4 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, 2007. So Nnamdi Kanu was brought back. He was abducted in Kenya, blindfolded, tortured, and forcibly brought back on the 27th of June 2021 after he was kidnapped on the 19th of June. They charged him to court. I went to court. He was charged with 15 counts. I went to the Federal High Court and argued with a preliminary objection that the case had no legs to stand on, that the charges were bad and could not fly legally. The Federal High Court agreed with me and struck out 8 of the 15 counts, remaining 7. I was dissatisfied. I took the battle to the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, and the Court of Appeal agreed with me and dismissed the remaining 7 counts. Wait for it. The Court of Appeal made a pronouncement. Said Nnamdi Kanu should be released and should never again be detained and should never again be prosecuted on the same charges over which he was kidnapped and forcibly renditioned back to Nigeria. A whole federal government, rather than protect your citizens, your individual citizens, their fundamental rights, which America will do. America will go to any country to go and take one of their citizens. A whole federal government filed a motion or notice to stay execution, which was granted by the same Court of Appeal. The federal government was staying execution of the liberty of its own citizen. So we were at the Supreme Court yesterday to say, this is wrong. Set this man free. Nnamdi Kanu is sick. He's not well. In the DSS gulag, they're increasing his potassium level. He has ear pain. And the DSS doctor has diagnosed that he needs an operation. But they will not allow him independent opinion from his own doctor. This has been going on. And because of that, in order for him not to die, we have told the Supreme Court to do the needful. The case has been adjourned to the 11th of May. But here is calling on President Buhari, please sir, on my bended knees, you can order the release of Nnamdi Kanu today. You can do it through the Attorney General of the Federation, who has the powers to enter a nolle prosequi, discontinuance of the cases. After all, there's even no case now. It's just being held illegally. Let him go. Let my people go. You don't have to wait for the Supreme Court decision. You don't have to wait to go on May 29. Let Nnamdi Kanu go. So what do we do to bring about this handshake so as not to take too much of your time? Because there are other activities. We should get it right. First, leadership. Like the Asian tigers. Because Professor Chinua Achebe told us in his epic, The Trouble with Nigeria. He said the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership. The Nigerian problem is the unwillingness or inability of its leaders to rise to the responsibility, to the challenge of personal example, which are the hallmark of true leadership. I want to add the problem of followership, complex ethno-religious composition that divide us, high power, distance culture, corruption, which is on steroids, weak institutions, and the fact that we have a state captured by elite buccaneers of power. We do not practice democracy, I have said. A beautiful concept defined on the 19th of November 1863 by American President Abraham Lincoln. We don't. As government of the people, for the people, and by the people. I have coined and have added to our political lexicons what we practice. Many crazes that we practice, all of them devoid of democracy. We practice electionocracy, 4-year interval rituals by which we go and select or so-called elect our leaders. We practice judocracy, a government where the politicians fight. In fact, the Nigerian courts are the busiest in the world on election petitions. The politicians mess up our democracy, they fight, they go to the court, and the court incubates midwives and give birth to your governor for you or to your president. We practice executocracy, a system of government where the executive is so powerful and so despotic and autocratic that it behaves more like Louis XIV of France, that will stand in front of parliament imperiously in 1655 to declare l'état, c'est moi, I am the state. We practice legislatocracy, a system which has been exemplified by the 9th National Assembly of yes, 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 Mr. President, like the Agama lizard. Every bill, every request, yes, sir, Mr. President. And when a person comes to be screened for an important national position, say, oh, we know you, Michael Ozekhome. We don't need to screen you. Take a bow. So I call them Mr. Take a Bow National Assembly. That's what we also practice, legislatocracy. So I put here some of the things we should do to have this handshake, not just across the Niger, but also across the Benue, imitating the Asian tigers, investment in skills, advancement in technology, engagement of specialized agencies, establishment of pilot projects, involvement of international agencies, adaptation of foreign imported technology, massive investment in infrastructure, manufacturing, proper and prudent management of our natural resources, disciplined, relatively cheap, educated and skilled workforce, targeting high literacy level, formulating and implementing deliberate government policies, strengthening the developments of agriculture, encouraging industrial development, human capital development, developing small and medium-scale enterprises, maintenance of political, social, as well as macroeconomic stability, creating a sound financial system, leadership that prioritizes citizens' welfare, encouraging a savings culture, and developing export-oriented industries to produce. Having said that, I decided to say, having failed on all indices, on all political and constitutional experiments and experimentations, the 1922 Clifford Constitution, the 1946 Arthur Richards Constitution, the 1951 Macpherson Constitution, the 1954 Littleton Constitution, the 1960 Independence Constitution, the 1963 Republican Constitution, the 1979 Obasanjo Constitution, the 1989 unused IBB Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, which we have already amended 4 times, imposed on Nigerians by General Abdulsalami Abubakar government, which is actually a schedule attached to Decree number 24 of 1999. We have failed on all this. What do we need to go forward? We need a brand new constitution. Make no mistake about that. It is not the type of constitution that you are going to amend under section 9 of the constitution, because you cannot amend a bad product. Amendment plus alteration multiplied by amendment added to amendment can never cure the present constitution of its original sin, which is that it does not represent the birth certificate of Nigeria, which a constitution must be. A constitution must be autochthonous, homegrown, indigenous, legitimate, and recognized by the people. We do not have such a constitution. We have a militarily imposed constitution. So when the present constitution tells us, we the people of Nigeria do hereby make and give to ourselves the following constitution, it's a lie. the Constitution tells a lie by itself and in itself. That we need a brand new Constitution. It's like saying, like Naaman the leper, we need to dip ourselves into our socio-economic and political river Jordan to cleanse ourselves of our leprosy. We can't go on like this. You cannot cure an ailment so serious like leprosy with medicine meant for eczema. It will not go away. Your leprosy will become till your fingers are chopped up. Nigeria is a country on autopilot, on a journey to new destination. That a new constitution has been gotten before, yes, I can tell you that. Iraq in 2005, Kenya in 2010, Eritrea in 1994, South Africa in 1994, 93, 94, Iran in 1979, after the Ayatollah Khomeini revolution, Bangladesh, 1991, Morocco, 2011, Egypt, 2012, Tunisia, 2002, and the American experience, which we should all emulate to go forward. They met between May 14 and September 17, 1786. They were already a great nation, but they wanted a more perfect union. So they met in Philadelphia and decided to have a more perfect union. That was where they made their constitution, signed by 39 out of the 55 attendees. It was that constitution that threw up the great federalists, people like George Washington, after whom the capital, Washington, D.C., is named. People like Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, people like Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. They are called the Federalists. They agreed on republicanism, they agreed on federalism, they agreed on presidentialism, they agreed on the principles of division or separation of power, a concept earlier in 1748 popularized by Baron de Montesquieu, a great French philosopher. And they decided we need to be together. Then they have what we call judicial review. Today, we have a unitary constitution. It is not federalist. 67 items on the exclusive legislative list. What is the federal government's business with marriage? Marriage Act. Do you know that your relationship between you and your wife is governed by the Marriage Act, federal government? Matters that should even be left to local governments, not even states. They license your car, your vehicle. What's their business? So, I believe that we need, in building our blocks, to recognize the burdens of long-term violence and shun them. Elicit plans from locals, conflict transformation, insider and outsider links, dealing with spoilers, identifying obstacles to strategic peace building efforts, elicit and evaluate how we live together, ensure everyone lives in safety, ensure that everyone is equal before the law and that there are no special sacred cows, ensure that everyone has fair and equal access to the basic needs of life, ensure the principles of federal character is respected, bringing different groups together, engaging in various forms of diplomacy to strengthen our bonds, for the things that unite us are more than the things that divide us, to make ourselves a Dolly Parton's coat of many colors, improve our justice delivery system, working to improve community development, working together with businesses and trades to create sustainable jobs, improving infrastructure, creating free and inclusive media, making development programs in conflict areas. And at the risk of being tautologious, we must have purposeful and deliberate leadership. We must respect human rights and the rule of law. Let us stop burning bridges. And let me make it clear. The Igbos can be president. This has become a national question that must be answered. He will not be an Igbo president. No, I'm saying a person of Igbo extraction can and should also be president of Nigeria. Make no mistake about it. If we do not have tolerance, respect for each other, facilitating these issues using our present, maybe our present template that at least we have for now, the NYC, the National Peace Committee, the National Human Rights Commission, the Legal Aid Scheme, National Council for Women's Society, National Youth Council, Nigerian Council of Interreligious Affairs, and we do not have equity, fairness, and social justice, we are in trouble. Make no mistake about that. And if you can no longer live together, rather than kill yourselves, if a man and a woman, I'm not advocating for that. I'm always saying in the extreme of moments, if a man and a woman can no longer live together, let them sit down and renegotiate their union. Okay, when you were my girlfriend, this is how we were going. Yes, you, when you were my boyfriend, this is how we were going. What is it that has gone wrong with our marriage? They will agree. But if they do not agree, what happens? One of them should quietly, peaceably go, and the other one should let him or her go. It is the suffocation, the deliberateness of saying, you cannot go, but not better our lot, that leads to a woman stabbing the husband to death, or to the husband choking the woman to death. Do we want such a situation? Do we want such a situation? So I end my speech today. I always like to mimic one of my heroes, the late Chief MKO Abiola, the man with whom we were on the streets together, fighting for democracy. After his Ekpetedo declaration, he was arrested, put in Aso Villa, and killed or murdered in questionable, hazy circumstances that today nobody has explained. He said in his stammering template, you see, people always say we should have peace. We must have peace. The question is, what type of peace are we talking about? Are we talking about the peace of the graveyard? The cemetery is the most quiet and peaceable place on earth. But that is not the kind of peace that we are looking for. The kind of peace we are looking for is peace that is imbued with mutual respect, egalitarianism, peace that we respect our religions, different religions, and different languages. Not the peace of the graveyard. I ask Nigerians to seek for genuine peace, not peace of the graveyard, but peace imbued with social justice. God bless you all. God bless you all. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Standing ovation for this awesome presentation. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for speaking truth to power. Thank you, Chief Mike Ozekhome, for that historical journey. Thank you for that reflective presentation, for telling us where we are coming from, what we did that put us on the wrong path, what we are doing now that is wrong, and what we can do to make it right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
May I now invite Mr. Peter Obi to come and give a greeting to the people. I mean, it will not be, it will be out of place not to let him, at least to say a word or two. Everybody is out here rooting for him.
Your Excellency, my governor, my brother, our capital governor, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, and all those representing other states, Your Excellency, the incoming Governor, Your Royal Majesties, all the dignitaries that are here, let me stand on all due and existing protocols. First is to say a big congrats to my own Vice Chancellor. You know, once you're part of this great university, even if they make somebody Vice Chancellor tomorrow, it's your Vice Chancellor. So this is my own teacher, my own Vice Chancellor. Thank you and congrats for this new position. I was just telling some young people when I went to the bathroom there, I said to them, nobody voted for me, so that's what I tell anybody who takes oath. I said, people did not vote for me in the last election. Those young people entrusted their hope in me, and God would not have allowed me to fail them. Because it's important that we understand, when people give you position, or when they vote for you, they are just entrusting their hope in you. And I know that in Ozekhome now, knowing what you did in Nsukka, you use it to help to build a better Nigeria. All we want is a better Nigeria. All we desire is a better Nigeria. A place where our children will live the way some of us have lived. Like I was telling the young girls again, I told them, I said, you don't know what is happening here, why people should sacrifice for you. That I was a student in University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and I'm happy that one of my own schoolmates is here. I bought my Beatles in J. Allen, 2,720 naira. And eventually he knew what I was saying. Umano decided to sell 505 to us, 6,800 naira. So that's how we sold our Beatles and bought the 505. Today, tell me, lecturers, when I paid for my 505, Umano told me he's not going to supply it to me because so many lecturers have paid. Let him wait till I'm a student. Today, no lecturer buys a brand new car. That is how bad Nigeria is. We need a new Nigeria. A Nigeria where those of us, people who were son of nobody, will be great, live well, have a job, earn a living. That's all we want. And I'm sure Ozekhome on their own will play their part. We will continue to play our part. I enjoy all of you to know that this new Nigeria is not going to be easy, because we have people who have lived off this confusion for a long time. They are not going to walk away. All of us must stay until they go away, because they will go. If they don't go away, or if we allow them to continue, it will consume all of us. Anarchy does not spare anybody. Once it starts, it will consume everybody. Let's work for a new Nigeria. Ozekhome, I thank you for what you're doing. continue to preach unity in Igbo land, unity in Nigeria, and most importantly, continue to support good governance in Nigeria. It will help all of us. A new Nigeria is possible. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are very grateful. Thank you, sir.
Let's invite distinguished Senator Sheikh Husani for a goodwill message.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, Your Excellency, the Governor-elect, invited our fathers, the royal fathers, distinguished invited dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It is a honor and a privilege to be invited to witness a historic event by this organization that has demonstrated as a group that it has the capacity, the influence to make impact as far as the socio-economic and political development, not only of the southeastern part of Nigeria, but the whole part of Nigeria. I must say that bridges is not about construction. It is about setting a stage for unity, tranquility, peace, and justice in our society. As a nation, we have come a long way, but we have a long way to go. It's a fact that 109 years since amalgamation of Nigeria and over 6 decades since our political independence, we are still struggling to have a united and peaceful nation. And that is only possible if we entrench justice, fairness, and togetherness as part of our national ethos. I will use this opportunity. On the 29th of May, 2023, there will certainly be a new crop of leaders that will take over position of leadership in both the country and also in the state level. I will appeal to those in whom power is trusted to use the opportunity of power to unite our people to ensure that justice is entrenched. For those who are still in court, you have a duty to ensure that this country's unity is preserved and also justice is entrenched. It's important that no people should be punished for their political opinion and political decisions. The southeastern part of Nigeria must not continue to be a profile victims of the past. We have a duty as a nation. Any leader that wants to be a leader for all should not be a leader of those who voted for him. He should be a leader of those who even didn't vote for him and those who have been fighting. I must say that no man is created that is loved by the whole of humanity. You must have adversaries, you must have opponents, and you must have traitors. Leadership is an opportunity. When you have it, use it to achieve the goals for which your people desperately needs and desire. Uzumuna, I was trying to ask the translation of it,
The gathering of brethren.
but the presidential candidate of the Labour Party translated the meaning to me. And I think we will have our own Hausa version in the north, so that I will be the coordinator of that part. And in Hausa, I believe it is called Hadin Kan Iyali. the Executive Governor of Enugu State, we thank you for the honor, and this, I believe, will be a valedictory event for your tenure in office, for which you have touched the lives of millions of people, not only in your state, but far beyond. You are a friend for which Enugu State has become a home, as it has always been, not only for the people of Southeast, for the people of Nigeria as a whole. You have done something which, to many of us, each time you are coming to the southeastern part of Nigeria, like when I was coming, my family were asking me, where specifically are you going? I say, I'm going to Enugu. They say, there's no problem, you can go. We thank you for your service, and I believe that your successor will have a burden of taking over from what you have done to ensure that he too keep the legacy of supporting this organization. That is an organization that has been reaching out to far and beyond. Thank you for this opportunity. Continue to build bridges until the whole of Nigeria believes that each and every part of Nigeria and any person in Nigeria have the right to lead this country. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you very much.